Have you ever felt like your inherent nature is that of destruction? Like all you do is take away and subtract from any and all environments you find yourself in? Like you just want to bore a hole into the earth and slip into it? I know I have! I mean, there has to be a reason we like digging holes so gosh darn much, right? There's got to be a reason people make these big old holes in Minecraft right down to bedrock. There's something within the human condition that calls for the maximum amount of holes to be made. And if you feel this way too and are a bit envious of the Big Daddy from BioShock for his drill, and you also like things like the Cryolator from Fallout, or Flamethrowers from TF2, or Goo, you might want to play Deep Rock Galactic and you might want to play Driller. Hi, I'm Freelance, and if that's not enough for you, I've played a few hours of Deep Rock Galactic, and let me tell you, Driller is my favorite class to play out of all of them. It is where the bulk of my time on this game is spent, after all. With every other class being used the times where I can't play Driller or for a secret special reason that I'll tell you later. If you're new to the game, trying this class out for the first time, or just refreshing your knowledge of the Driller, then welcome. Because this is a beginner's guide of how to play Driller. You know what, my bad. I keep on talking about drillers, but I haven't gone over what they are yet. Silly me. Driller is one of the 4 classes in Deep Rock Galactic that is the best at removing obstacles, making tunnels, and other paths. The Driller, on top of being able to drill through terrain, has a few weapons that work best at close ranges, with them focusing on trying to control crowds instead of having trouble bursting down the larger enemies. While the Driller doesn't have the mobility that the Scout has, or the wide reach of the Engineer with all the things they can put out, or the sheer damage or shielding of the Gunner, he does have the ability to be more self-reliant and cover himself in any situation than any other class in the game. Being a strong, independent space dwarf is the main reason I started to play Driller, so I could still do stuff by myself while also helping the team and playing a supportive role. The utility and mobility tool that the Driller has in his kit are his drills. The drills are amazing at destroying terrain, being able to make a dwarf-sized hole almost immediately, while having an insanely large ammo pool that will usually never be brought down to empty through a match. This is pretty much the best thing ever, but there is just one downside. The drills overheat, which means you don't have to reload it, but if you have your jaw slapped right on that fire button, it would cause you to stop while the machine repairs itself. And that would be unoptimal. So when you're drilling, like a maniac, make sure to keep your eye on that heat, usually stopping when you see around 85%. And because caves in Deep Rock Galactic are mostly empty space surrounded by so much closed-in, closed space that's occupied, the drills are insanely versatile, allowing for so much freedom. When I get to that high up place, drill to it. Want to make an easier path to get to your escape route? Drill to it. Need something excavated or flattened so it's easier to fight or just to set up? Well, I think you already know what I'm gonna say. Drill can also be used as a melee tool if you really need it to be, but don't do that, silly. We have weapons for a reason. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the other utility in the kit that's far more evil and used for griefing than anything productive. It's none other than the C4 blasting charge. The C4 is supposed to be used to blow up things in a giant area, leaving nothing but small rocks behind. I say supposed to because this thing is used to reduce your friends into dirt and soot that you clean off of your drills. You should be using C4s to clear out hordes or to clear terrain. One of the ways I find myself often using it is waiting for a friend to go down so you don't do any damage to them, and then placing a C4 on them, detonating all the glyphids that are on top of them. There is a combo you can use with C4s and the drill. One where you make a cubby for you and your friends to walk into, making a bunker, if you will. So let me introduce you to the Driller School of Architecture, where we teach you only one thing. There's a large enough area that has enough stone and dirt, you can drill into a wall, and then use a C4 on the ceiling. After a full drill charge, you make a bunker where glyphids and other creepy crawlies get bottlenecked like they're like fish in a barrel. You can even develop your new property too, by making a place for an ammo drop and a cubby for Molly. Just make sure your troop and your buds know about your secret hidey hole, and it should make most waves so easy that you could probably fall asleep during it and still survive. Okay, now we can talk about primaries. The Driller's primaries are weapons that might not have the best direct damage, but are amazing to use against smaller glyphids, but usually suffer and take more ammo for larger enemies. His primaries are the Burning Flamethrower, the Chilling Cryo Cannon, and the Sticky Sludge Pump. All of these, in some form or another, slow down glyphids coming towards you, with them having slightly different styles of play, that all work around being supportive in different ways. The Flamethrower is probably the Driller's most straightforward primary, great because it's the first one, but it has the least amount of synergy with other dwarves. It only has okay direct damage, and it has to be refueled every once in a while with a full ammo stock, and it has short range, shooting only about 10 meters. But it can put down Sticky Flame. Sticky Flame makes it so flames stick to a surface and spread to the glyphid that's right on top of it. And when they walk on it like the dumb bugs they are, they're usually ignited and slowed down. The Sticky Flames at the start are really good for fighting larger swarms and less costly on ammo, with the more direct spray only being meant for like 1 or 2 glyphids. So a lot of the time it's just better to shoot the ground right in front of them so they'll walk through it. But it's also good to do more direct damage to bigger enemies that take more time to heat up, because that damage over time hurts. The Cryo Cannon is a more supportive, less damage-oriented weapon that is used to set up big bursts of damage in combination with your team or yourself. The Cryo Cannon is made to freeze glyphids and does horribly big amounts of damage when a bug is frozen. It's good with either taking things out with melee damage to destroy it, or with a throwable or secondary, or some sort of combo with your own team if you can rely on a teammate for it. The gun itself doesn't have a magazine, which is great because it just refuels slowly, all full of nice cold ice, just allowing you to swap between weapons constantly to make stuff work. The freezing status effects works great against Mactera, instantly killing them because they fall from the sky. And it's almost a must-have if you're having to fight a boss, with the amount of damage that can be done in a short amount of time being catastrophic, making them look like Master Chief from Halo, with how long they're frozen. One of my main issues with this weapon is that some enemies just are straight up resistant to cold and can't be frozen. Look no further than my main nemesis, the Roly-Poly, who are immune to freeze and have so much armor and are hard to kill anyway. When something like this happens, you feel your build kind of shut down and you really need help, which makes it have higher highs than stuff like the flamethrower, but have lower lows than it because sometimes it just doesn't work. And the final primary, the Corrosive Sludge Thrower, is a bit different and can be treated like a trap weapon more than the others. And that's because the Sludge Gun has a small bit of ammo, but can deal with multiple bugs in a single shot or charge blast. This allows you to slow and do damage, as well as assisting anyone who might use flames with it spreading with corrosive sludge. Just make sure not to be caught in a reload when you have bugs crawling towards you, because a reload is a killer. The Driller's secondaries are secondary. They are made to be synergies with every other part of their kit. The first one is a pretty normal run-of-the-line pistol, the Sabuda 120, which acts like your normal semi-automatic pistol in every video game, and the best way to use it is aiming for weak points or to take stuff out from range. It's a normal, reliable pistol that can be used in conjunction with every primary in an okay way. I think the best way to use it would be with the cryo thrower, so you can walk up and barrel stuff any and all the bugs that are in your way. A plasma pistol? Oh boy, the plasma pistol. It has a charge up that does big damage that can be hit with a small normal projectile that will explode if you're good enough at the timing. It's semi-automatic, has heat cooldown that makes it so you can stow it away in your back pocket if you need to reload. It's all good and cool, making it so you can blast things away. In fact, at one point, the secondary ability was used for drillers for blast mining. Using the cool little combo was good, but now it's an issue because you could mine veins in seconds. So it got nerfed, making blast mining make you lose materials. Before the nerf, I would probably say the plasma gun was better than everything else, just because of the ease of access for that second ability. But now it's really up to preference. But I think the plasma gun is better for the flamethrowers and the Sabuda is better for the cryo thrower. Just because the plasma pistol and the flamethrower both have heat-based ideas, and the Sabuda and cryo thrower are all about weak spot damage. Well, that all was until the microwave gun showed up. Microwave gun is a submachine gun with a cooldown mechanic that lets you microwave bugs like popcorn. It does alright damage, is hyper accurate, and has an ammo issue if you don't know the combo. Because at the final level you get this great things that makes it combo with either elemental heat or cold effects, based around temperature. This makes it so the enemy will suffer from a giant pop of damage, all while they are extinguished or thawed out of their status effect. This makes it so you can do giant chunks of damage just by yourself, that you usually wouldn't be able to do without other players or throwables otherwise. Which makes it a perfect self-sufficient choice for anyone playing Driller. And from what I can tell from build guides, it's pretty much the go-to secondary now. Oh, also talking about throwables, that was a great transition by the way, thank you Freelance. Let's talk about throwables. The Driller has a choice of 4 grenades. The first one of the bunch is probably my favorite. It's the Impact Axe. And it's the one I've used for most missions and the one I would recommend for everyone else to use for how it amends most of the issues that the Driller has. With it having high single target damage, It has high single target damage, but pretty much no splash damage. That allows the driller to feel like a slayer. Have you ever played Darktide? If you have, it feels like throwing rocks as an Ogren. If you haven't, it's throwing a projectile that only does direct damage with an arc to it. You can carry a lot of them, and they work particularly well with the cryo cannon. And axes you miss can be picked out and plucked out of the ground, making them reusable and a little bit more newbie and mistake friendly. The HE grenade is a high explosive grenade that works like a normal grenade from any other game, but it has the benefit of being able to be held and the ability to armor break, making it better for taking down things like roly-polies and glyphic praetorians. This grenade is definitely the most okay out of all of them. There isn't much to say besides you can use it on larger enemies or small hordes like a normal grenade, with a bunch of damage that it can do. Neurotox grenades put down a stinky cloud full of stink gas that damages glyphids. That is also flammable just like the neurotoxin emitted by dead praetorians, allowing for a large sudden wall of fire. This can be used for crowd control, almost like the crowd control used in the rest of your kit, but it's just kind of alright. And it's something I would consider for a flamethrower build. And the last throwable is the Beyblade. It's not called the Beyblade, but it's called a spring-loaded Ripper, but it's a Beyblade, which is an alternative to the axe, doing good single target damage, but this time instead of just being thrown, the Ripper goes in a straight line, hugging the walls and the floor. This thing is good at taking down things in a straight line, with clumps of glyphids, and probably has the highest damage potential out of all grenades, but it can be unreliable without practice and hard to master. So if you can, try to use them in small, more enclosed areas. That's about it for this video, but before you go, let me give you advice. Never go to fight robots from the rival company as a driller. These bots are so tanky and so immune to all the bullshit that drillers can deal in our loadouts that it's probably a better idea to play gunner instead. It's probably the closest playstyle from any other dwarves to the driller, and it works a lot better during these rival escalation missions. That's all I got for this video, and I hope this video found some people that want to play driller for the first time or get into Deep Rock Galactic. It's one of my favorite games and probably one of the best games out right now, being a game I go back to constantly and all the time. And thank you if you got to this point in the video. It helps me out and gives me motivation to make more videos like this. And to give me more motivation, you could subscribe and like too. Till next video, fellas.